Since Donald Trump took Indiana and became the presumptive nominee, we have seen a whole series of dramatic announcements from some conservative and Republican opponents. Some of them are not only vowing that they will never vote Trump, but they went so far as to literally quit the Republican Party. One of those was Phil Kline, managing editor of the Washington Examiner. And he joins us now, along with Ben Domenech. He's the publisher of The Federalist and another outspoken Trump critic. Great to see you both. Phil, so it's a dramatic move. You came out and said, I have officially deregistered as a Republican, and you are not alone. Why?
Well, I am not a professional Republican. I'm a journalist, and I have conservative viewpoints. And the Republican Party is not an end in and of itself to me. It's a means to an end, and that's to advance conservative principles that I agree with. And I've outlined for months and months how I did not think that Donald Trump did that. In fact, quite the opposite. The Republican Party has chosen to embrace Donald Trump. That's their prerogative. But this is where I get off the boat.
The person who heads up the PAC that's opposing Trump, Katie Packer, came out and said, there is a sense by some, like Katie, that if this is who my party is, I don't really identify with it anymore. That's where you're coming from?
Absolutely. I just don't think that Trump meets the basic fitness level to be president. I don't appreciate his rhetoric. I think that he's exploited and inflamed bigotry and sexism. That's not the type of conservative message I abide by, which is about limited government, returning power to the states, and focusing on the Constitution.
Now, you know, Phil, that everybody, not everybody, but those who are supporting Trump will say, get on board, Phil. Do you really want Hillary Clinton? You know, you should be never Hillary instead of never Trump.
Look, I am also never Hillary. I mean, to be clear, I'd never cast a vote for Hillary Clinton. But, you know, the Republican Party is not my family, okay? It only has value to me in the sense that traditionally it's been more likely than the Democratic Party to advance ideas that I believe in. That's clearly no longer the case. I mean, just today, Donald Trump talked about raising the minimum wage. So clearly he's supported socialized medicine and all the things that we've documented for months and months. And the Republican Party has decided that none of those things are disqualifying, nor any of his various long litany of statements. None of that's disqualifying for them. It is disqualifying for me.
Ben, something happened last night on Twitter and online where different Republicans, like Mark Salter, who was a strategist of John McCain's, he came out and said, I'm with her. And there was a hashtag going around among Republicans. I'm with her. Ben Howe, contributing editor at Red State. I'm with her. Goodbye, GOP. These are people saying they will vote for Hillary, especially given her stance on national security issues. That's how Steve Schmidt put it. He said that on issues of national security, there are many Republicans who will endorse Hillary Clinton. Do you believe that?
I think that there's certainly a number of Republicans who are going to shift over and support Hillary Clinton, but I don't really think that that number is going to be all that significant in the big scheme of things. I understand there's been a disturbance in the force. You've heard a lot of voices cry out on Twitter and elsewhere about what's gone on within the Republican Party, and people who I respect, like Phil, who can't support Donald Trump for ideological reasons, are going to be a portion of the electorate. But what are we already seeing in the polls that you're seeing, the CNN poll that you referenced earlier in the program? You're already seeing 84 to 83% of Republicans and Republican leaners saying that they're going to support Trump. You're already seeing a kind of unification around him among most of the party members. I think you're going to continue to see that. There was a lot of animosity towards Mitt Romney after the 2012 primary was over. He ended up winning 93% of Republicans. The problem for Donald Trump is, even if he won 100% of the Republicans in that poll, he would still be losing to Hillary Clinton. He needs to expand his base in states like Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan, especially among the women who have been turned off by a lot of his comments over the past several months. He needs to make up the distance with them more than he does with the conservatives who have ideological objections to his candidacy.
What do you make of what Paul Manafort was saying, Ben, where he was saying, look, anybody who's telling you that Trump can't win with some of these Democrats and independents, those are the same people who were saying he couldn't win this nomination, and they've been proven wrong.
Well, I was saying that he could win the nomination back in August of last year, and I think that, you know, some of those critics still had points when it came to the sort of pointless arguments that he made at certain points in the course of this election that drove up those negatives. I do think that he can make up a lot of that over the course of the coming months, but he needs to start now, and it needs to be in, I think, a very sustained way to make up some of these negatives that we've seen, particularly among minority groups who should be open to some of his economic messages, and among women who have been turned off by a lot of his rhetoric over the past couple of weeks. It's possible, but it is something he has to sort of shoot the moon on.
I got to get to Herman Cain, but I want to ask you quickly, Phil, before I let you go. Do you see yourself ever wavering on this? Do you see yourself, once wounds heal, crossing over to support Trump?
Never means never.
Great to see you both.
Good to be with you.
Thanks, guys. And joining us now, Herman Cain, former GOP presidential candidate, Fox News contributor, and author of The Right Problems: What the President, Congress, and Every Candidate Should Be Working On. Herman, great to see you. What do you make of that?
Thanks,
what Bill Kline said, and what Steve Schmidt said, and what, you know, Mark Salter said, and some of these other guys? I'm with her.
Well, all of the people that are never Trump, the Republican tent got bigger, but they don't want it to get bigger. They want to stay in a narrow definition of the Republican Party, a narrow definition of what conservatism is all about. Secondly, if they were to take the time and step back and look at Donald Trump's top priorities, not all of the political noise, they will find that they are more aligned with the big issues relative to what Donald Trump is talking about than all of this political noise. So I think that this is kind of like a wound. It takes time to heal, and the deeper the wound, the longer it takes. Now, some people like Phil, it may never heal. That's why he's saying never Trump. That's his prerogative to do so. But I happen to believe, as some of the others have said, that I see a movement of more people saying, okay, let's get real. I'd rather have Trump and never Hillary than to have Hillary and never Trump.
And just to correct what I said,
Phil, exactly right.
Phil is not "I'm with her." That was a different. Phil did not say he's with her. That's Mark Salter who said he's with her, along with a couple of other folks like Ben Howe. But what do you make of the fact, you know, Paul Manafort is a good soldier to Donald Trump, but there is one questionable Rasmussen poll that shows Trump beating Hillary in a general by 2 points, and there is one battleground state poll that puts him behind Hillary by just 3, but all of the national polls, all of them, put her beating him, and most of those show her beating him by double digits, up to 15 points. So you have to admit he's got some work to do. What is the work? What is it?
He has some work to do, Megan, and I indicated this in a commentary 9 months ago. It's 50% perception, and that perception is shaped by the sound bites that people hear and see continuously over a long period of time. What Donald Trump and his campaign has to do is to try and reshape that perception. Secondly, I don't believe all of these polls, because too many of them can be manipulated, or they'll use a very small sample size and say, wow, look at this result. He has time. No, not all of them are wrong.
But that's a different argument than saying, that, okay, they're right, but he's got 7 months to turn it around. You're saying all these polls are just wrong right now?
No. I didn't say all of them are wrong, Megan. I said some of them can be manipulated, and some of them have been manipulated. What I'm saying is, now, between now and the convention, now that the field is clear, I believe Donald Trump can help reshape that perception. Perception is driven a lot by the messages that are coming through the media. That's just the way it is. And he's been a master of that leading up to this point, and I believe he's going to understand what he needs to do to help reshape that. So I'm not excited about what the polls say today. I would be concerned about what the polls say 3 months from now.
And he's pointed out many times he has not yet started on her, and he has proven, if there's one thing Donald Trump has proven, is that he is a master at controlling the message through the media. Herman, it's always great to see you.
Thanks, Megan.